This episode is brought to you by DistroKid. DistroKid is the easiest way for musicians to get their music into all the platforms: Amazon, Apple, Tidal, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Plus, you've got unlimited uploads, and the artist keeps 100% of what they make. But what I love most about DistroKid is their app. The design of it just makes the whole process so easy. Now you can be sure that you're doing everything you need to do to get your music out there. Go to distrokid.com to check it out or download the app now. The second single from Future Prophet Records is here. Birthday Girl presents Never the Sound, available right now on Future Prophet Records. That's Future, Prophet, records.com. Order now. Tell me the origin of Potatoland. Before we get into the music of it, tell me the story of how in the fuck did this thing come to be?
So it sounds to me like it came together as part of some strange acid fantasy that Randy had, where he tells a story about seeing Julia Child on TV with a plate full of potatoes, and she makes some comment about how they look like they all have little faces, and it like zooms in on the potatoes, and sure enough they do. And basically he just kind of plays out this fantasy to like an insane degree, and he comes up with those chants, "We are the potato face people." And like, this is, I think, one of the more bizarre aspects of psychedelia that people are less comfortable talking about, are these weird kind of intrusive thoughts that will go to the nth degree like this.
Welcome to Discograffiti, the deep dive podcast for music obsessives that gives freaks like you and me the chance to connect with a brotherhood obsessed with rating the entire discography of every single artist and band that ever mattered. I'm your host, Dave Gebroe, and with 3 new episodes each week, you're going to gain a comprehensive knowledge of an act's history and output in the time it takes to listen to one album. Each new guest swings a hard left into an area you either had no idea you needed to know about, or know all about and can't believe you're not alone out there. And in this episode, we'll be turning our spray cans on Spirit, Psst, along with our special guest, band biographer Ryan Gabrinetti. This is part 5, detailing the almost too crazy to be believed tale behind one of the most mythically nuts concept albums ever dreamt up. Here are just a few of the many things that Ryan discusses with Discograffiti in this podcast. The origin of the Potatoland project, the massive public uprising that practically forced Randy California to exhume the project several years later, the 2019 Esoteric Recordings Potatoland box set that has to be one of the 10 most essential reissues of all time, the live radio shows during that era which Randy dared to play on LSD, and an in-depth deep dive on every song off Spirit's Adventures of Captain Copter and Commander Cassidy in Potatoland, the 1973 LP that was rejected by Epic Records. Coming up, we've got incredible deep dive series on Lenny Waronker, Love, Jefferson Airplane, and a hell of a lot more. So don't miss out. Open up your listening app right now and subscribe. For over 4 years now, Discograffiti's Friday episodes have been completely free, and it's been my pleasure. But for a variety of reasons, Discograffiti's now moved to the subscription-based Patreon as our primary platform. Moving forward, our public stream will feature a teaser of the Friday episode and a Tuesday teaser of the bonus episode, and that's all. But here's the good news. Only $5 a month will get you the weekly Friday podcast to which you become accustomed. That's it. It's a no-brainer at just $1 an episode. And just that little bit will be what's required to help the show survive. To sweeten the pot, you'll also get regular installments of the Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound podcast. That's Rudy Fishman's podcast within a podcast featuring our Patreon members as guests. You'll also get access to over 100 back episodes of that show. The $10 Lieutenant tier gets you all that, plus access to half of the Patreon archive. That's hundreds of additional episodes, plus copies of my personal show notes, which include invaluable research, star ratings, and reviews. But the $20 major tier is the place to be. unless you can support the show on even higher tiers, which, if you can afford it, offers substantial perks, including advertising on the show and selecting the guests and artists I cover. With the major tier and above, you get it all. The Monday bonus episodes, aka the best stuff, the Friday show, the Soldiers of Sound podcast, plus access to the entire archive. That's many hundreds of Patreon episodes, an absolutely endless barrage of music entertainment, including 50 episodes of The Private Press with Paul Major, Rock Cousteau, Queasy Listening, and so much more. This tier will also be the only way to access the entire upcoming Spirit series, the entire Love series, the entire Lenny Waronker series, and the entire Jefferson Airplane series. Frankly, it'll keep you busy for the rest of your life. So support the podcast that's been supporting you for years. Discograffiti's calling, and it needs you. So don't risk feeling guilty by not giving. But enough of me yapping. Go on, subscribe now. Visit patreon.com/discograffiti and find the tier that's right for you. And away we go then. Okay, Larry Fuzzy Knight. He played with Delaney and Bonnie and Black Kangaroo. Larry says, we even played some gigs in 1971, billed as Spirit, before becoming Captain Copper. We played all over Hollywood at that time, and Randy and I were on acid most of that time.
Yeah. This is like a really interesting period because, like, again, with all the context.
Period.
Yeah.
To me, this is where my interest level in Randy California peaks.
So basically, he doesn't have a band yet. He's just kind of freaked out on a very regular basis.
Tell me the origin of Potatoland. Was he going into sessions trying to create a finished record, and then it was turned down by Epic, right? Before we get into the music of it, tell me the story of how in the fuck did this thing come to be?
So it sounds to me like it came together as part of some strange acid fantasy that Randy had, where he tells a story about seeing Julia Child on TV with a plate full of potatoes, and she makes some comment about how they look like they all have little faces, and it like zooms in on the potatoes, and sure enough they do. And basically he just kind of plays out this fantasy to like an insane degree, and he comes up with those chants, we are the potato face people. And like, this is, I think, one of the more bizarre aspects of psychedelia that people are less comfortable talking about, are these weird kind of intrusive thoughts that will go to the nth degree like this.
Yeah.
And for him to take that seriously.
Did he talk with the record company about what was forthcoming?
Him and Fuzzy and Cass made a demo tape. Like, they started to put the bones of it together that they sent to Epic. Epic was like, what the fuck is this? Like, they were hoping, I don't know what they were hoping for, but as a result of this like demo tape, I guess they canceled the contract.
Okay, so
it was supposed to be a follow up to Captain Copter originally.
Okay, yeah, right. So it wasn't supposed to be a Spirit album.
It was not supposed to be a Spirit album originally. The whole Captain Copter and Commander
when was it recorded? Was it recorded in 72?
The original version that was taken around would have been like probably a little bit contemporaneous to Captain Copter, but most of it would have probably been after. So like late 72, early 73. And then, as we'll get to, it's like it got reworked many times.
Right.
And
let's stay here though.
So after this meeting with Epic, where they were just like, this is not commercial, whatever. And I think Randy knows this to a degree, but in 1973, they were booked in Europe as Spirit. This was the one where they didn't have the rights to the name, and they played all over the place.
Let's stay in 72. I don't want to go to the tour yet.
Yeah.
Because there's so much stuff here. I just want to go in order here.
Sure, yeah.
Let's stay with the music first. So in case you have no idea what the fuck we're talking about because we're too excited, The Adventures of Captain Copper and Commander Cassidy in Potatoland is one of rock's most infamous lost albums. When I discovered it initially, I went through a period of such insane excitement that it even existed, that I could, just like you're hearing in my voice right now, I was so excited. This album represents exactly what I live for, which is to know that something like this, that somebody worked so hard to realize this, even if it is a demo, a glorified demo. And is it? is this meant as a demo? Because it sounds okay.
The original tape was sent as a sample. Like they were like, we want to complete this, and this is like kind of our basic idea. The version that wound up getting released in 1981 by Rhino is significantly reworked, and it got recorded at different times. But I mean, it was always intended to be a full-length album.
From what I understand, several versions were pitched to Epic in '73.
Yeah, and they rejected all of them.
Right. So what is different, and how many versions? What was so different about from one to the other?
You know, it's hard to say because those tapes aren't really readily available. I've been looking for ages for it. You know, the reason that I bring up I guess like sequentially there was more material that was written for Potatoland after this, because again, it turned into such a, it was a lost project for almost 10 years.
Let's talk about for a second. Why was not part of the record? It's like, it's not even 2 minutes.
Right.
And it's after what was intended as the closer.
Right.
And yet that song is amazing. So maybe there's no answer to this. Maybe it's just shrouded in such a fog that there's no answer. But maybe it's best that we kind of go through. You want to talk about the concept of this record? Now, when we were talking about Sardonicus and the vague concept that's behind it, this is not a vague thing.
No,
this is
not at all.
This has spoken word interstitials. It has sound effects. It is fully fleshed out as a concept.
I'm pulling out the comic book, which comes with the original record. No, they were very serious about this.
Yeah.
And I think, in part, it feels like a tour fantasy because like you have the thing of Randy and Ed, Captain Cofter and Commander Cassidy, they're like driving along in their copter mobile and they spy a freeway exit that says Potatoland and like, let's check it out. It's like
exit 27.
It's exit 27. Now, outside of Boise, Idaho, there is an exit 27 that's out in this place called Caldwell. And I'm inclined to believe that this place might have actually existed, that they might have gone by and just, tour makes you crazy. Like it really makes you just, you're so bored and like you got to fill the space. And like I could imagine that a lot of this could have come from that kind of tour boredom of just fantasizing about different things. Like Turn to the Right, which I think is like probably one of the best songs on this whole thing. I think it's pretty early. Like it's probably pre-Potatoland and like I think it's, it might have even been pre-Spirit. It's like,
well, My Friend, which could arguably be the best song on the entire record, is from 65.
Yeah, definitely held on to a lot. This could have very well been part of why material was withheld from Captain Cofter, because like it was also at the end
right.
It was at the end of his contract, so like he very well might have been just trying to get out of the it's very possible even that he delivered Potatoland as a like way to get out of his contract. That's
interesting. Like, just like Metal Machine Music by Lou Reed, the idea of using the record to get out of a contract, that would be amazing, but also to put all that work into it.
They were serious about it. That's why I kind of doubt that a little bit, but it could have been even subconscious.
There were a few things that contributed to the mythology building around this. First is in 1973, the BBC DJ Bob Harris played a whole side on his show when Spirit toured Europe, and obviously Epic turning the record down, people would chatter just like the Beach Boys Smile during the same time period.
That was after they got rejected.
Yeah. Then in 1978, during Spirit's March UK tour, Randy California was presented with a huge petition with 5,000 signatures requesting the release of Potatoland. And there were also release Potatoland buttons handed out at the band's Rainbow Theatre gig in London. And that was the inspiration to revisit it in 81, or at least to release the 81 version. But just before we get into the music itself, I just want to say that one of my favorite things that any record company has ever done is Esoteric Recordings released a 4-CD clamshell box set that gathers together everything involved with Potatoland. And it is, if you love music, if you don't have this, you're off your rocker.
It's a mountain of stuff. There's so much.
It's amazing. So CD 1 is the original Potatoland with a bunch of great extras. CD 2 is the 81 Potatoland with extras. Then CDs 3 and 4 has not only good material, but it has all the stuff that, when Fuzzy was describing those acid shows, It's those acid shows. It's Randy playing on acid.
So there's one particular tape that was a radio show that they did, and it's
the acid show.
And Larry said that him and Randy dropped acid before they played, and that, I mean, you can you can hear it. It's there, it's in there.
All right, that about does it. To hear the full episode, just visit patreon.com/Discograffiti and either subscribe as a private or higher, or just purchase it as a one-off. If you are a fan of the show, please do one of those two to help ensure Discograffiti's continued existence. Stay tuned, because next week brings upon us an exhumed interview with a shadowy figure from beyond the grave. From the Runaways to the Byrds, Ariel Pink to the Beach Boys, it's a never-before-heard interview with the legendary Kim Fowley. Okay, here's the week up ahead. This Sunday, our weekly show within a show, the Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound podcast, drops for our Patreon's private tier. These are real people with talent and a burning fire deep inside, just like you and I. Then, come Tuesday, the major tier gets a very special treat. Tuesday's bonus episode is part 6 of our Spirit series, which covers the beginning of Spirit's Mercury Records era, a fertile period rife with creativity, as Randy California wound up processing his feelings around America's bicentennial through a surprisingly emotional internal filter, and recorded so much material that it produced a double album set with enough left over for a whole other record to come. There will be a very short sneak peek running publicly for free on Tuesday morning, but the entirety of the show will only be accessible on the major tier of our Patreon. A heartfelt Discograffiti thanks goes out to my beautiful wife and son, Jen and Mason, Ryan Gabrinetti, Randy California, Rudy Fishman, Becky Boyd, my mom, my dad, my incredibly loyal fans, and especially the entire Patreon community, the Soldiers of Sound. I love every last one of you, and this show would not exist without you, my friends. Speaking of friends, it's high time for some new ones. They're in our Facebook group, Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound. That's the best way to find out what's coming up on the show, but there's a hell of a lot more. You get recaps of the day in music history, the ability to pitch questions to guests, polls that put you in the driver's seat on guest and band decisions, and access to a thriving creative hub if you're looking for a collaborator. So make sure you don't miss out. You can find the link to the Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound Facebook page right there in the show notes. And if you don't mess with the Zuck, no sweat. Just email me at info@discograffiti.com and I'll keep you in the loop. So now that it's done and you want more, another way to dive even deeper into the classic rock and roll from the 1960s is to go to the Beach Boys Season 1, Catch a Wave, 1961 to 1964, from episode 189 on, the Righteous Brothers Bill Medley interview, that's 181 and 182, my interview with the Free Design, that's 160 to 162, my epic interview with the Mamas and Papas Michelle Phillips, that's 141 to 159, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, that's 137, my 12-hour interview with Terry Kirkman and Jules Alexander from the Association, that's 109 to 113, Vashti Bunyan reading her entire output, that's 103 to 104, Sergio Diaz from Os Mutantes, that's 86 and 87, Bert Summer, that's 83 and 84, Sweetwater is episode 79, a tribute to David Crosby, 77 and 78, Andrew Tuttle rates the Monks, 74, Jim Florentine on Black Sabbath is 64 to 68, Lou Barlow on the Zombies is 59 and 60, Marvin Gaye biographer David Ritz rates Marvin Gaye, that's 45 to 47. Blind Faith is 43. Anthony Fantano rates the Velvet Underground, it's 32 and 33. Bob Forrest rates the band is 25 and 27. Monkees manager Andrew Sandoval rates the Monkees, that's 22 and 23. Don Randy rates David Axelrod as 17. Badfinger is 16. The Bee Gees is 10 and 11. Sly and the Family Stone is 5, 6, and 7. And Pink Floyd is 1 and 2. And of course, be sure to mark your calendars, because next Friday, February 20th, we're coming at you with the long, dark, creepy shadow of the Sunset Strip, Kim Fowley. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss it. And so, from now till then, don't let our youth go to waste, lads and ladies. It's Discograffiti!